Hi, this is Lisa, and I want to just provide you with a basic overview of Chapter 1. I'm going to expand on a couple of the topics that I think that they don't talk a little bit enough about, and then I'm just going to kind of follow through with the things that are important about the different types of word elements. So when we look at medical terminology, there's actually different objectives for learning medical terminology. The unique thing about medical terms is that you need to know that they are in anatomical order. So when we look at medical terms, we can sometimes be able to analyze what they mean if we're able to divide them up into the different components. So identifying which word is the prefix, which words are the word roots or the combining forms, and then which parts are the suffix. If we can do that when we know that words are in anatomical terms, let's think about the gastrointestinal tract. We know that the stomach comes before the intestines. So if we get a word like gastroenteritis, we know the stomach, and we know gastro means stomach, but we're not sure what entero means. You know that this, whatever that entero means, it has to come after the stomach anatomically in that GI system. So it will help you be able to identify and possibly guess at what that might be. Of course, the best idea always is to look it up. All right. The second objective is to be able to relate the medical term to the structure and function of the body. So again, as we just said, being able to identify it, what their function is, it's going to be able to help you better understand what the medical term means. And be aware of the spelling and pronunciation. There are, in your book, it goes over some spelling issues as well as look-alike words like athro, arterio, arthro. All of those are very related, but they all mean very different things. So it's incredibly important that you are spelling the term right and you are reading the term correctly. All right? So word elements, these are the different parts of the medical term. So we'll start with the word root. The word root is actually the foundation of the word, and that is the body part that we're talking about. All medical terms have at least one word root in their in the term. Okay, so it's the body part that we're talking about. The suffix, just much like the English language, is always at the end of the word. So we always have a word root, and we will always have a suffix. It's always at the end, and what the suffix tells us is kind of what's happening in the body. Is it enlarged? Is it inflamed? Is it bleeding? You know, is it pertaining to? Is it a disease? So it's always going to tell us what's happening, okay? The prefix is the word part that is always at the beginning of the word. You do not have to have a prefix in all med terms, okay? And the prefix is going to tell us a number of things. It can tell us the location. Is it above or below? Is it a number, or is there 1, 2, 3, whatever it may be? Or is it a time? So again, it tells us a little bit about, again, giving us more indication of where this may be, if it's affecting more than one body part. The combining vowel is the part of the term that links the word root to a suffix or to another word root. This is strictly used to help us pronunciate these words a little bit easier. If we didn't have that vowel, it would make some of these terms almost impossible to pronounce. So that's the combining vowel. Now, you may see there's an oddity that'll pop its head up, maybe an I or an A every now and then, but the most common combining vowel is going to be an O. And then we have the combining form. So we have the word root and the combining vowel mixed, and that's the combining form. So when we look at this term, hematology, we know that logy is going to be, the suffix is at the end. It means the study of. And then we're going to go back to the beginning of the word and look at that definition. So hemat is the word root. If we put the combining vowel with that, it's hemato, and that's the combining vowel. I'm sorry, the combining form, which is the word root plus the combining vowel. Okay? Now, there are some rules for medical terminology, and I can't express to you enough how important rule number 1 is. On your tests, when you get into the body systems, I am going to be asking you to define medical terms. There is a process to do that. We always start at the suffix of the word, and then we move back to the beginning of the word and read the term across. So let's look at electrocardiogram. Remember, we always begin with a suffix. This is a record or picture of the electrical activity of the heart. So again, we start with a suffix, we move to the beginning of the word, and then we read it across. Okay. Rule 2 is if we have a suffix that begins with a vowel, we drop the combining vowel and connect the words. So you can see here we have itis as the suffix, which means inflammation. It starts with a vowel, and so we don't need this O to help us pronounce that because we already have a vowel here. So we're going to drop the O, and this term is then going to become gastritis. Again, let's go back to rule number 1. Start at the suffix and inflammation of the stomach. Okay? Rule number 3, we're going to keep the combining vowel before a suffix that begins with a consonant. So let's say we have the word, or we have the suffix megaly. We need to keep that combining vowel because it's going to be more difficult to pronounce without that vowel there. So when we connect the word, we would have cardiomegaly, which means an enlargement, again, starting with a suffix and then going back to the beginning of the word, a enlargement of the heart. Okay. And the last rule is if we have two combining or two word roots, we always keep the combining vowel between those two words, even if it begins with a vowel. So we have gastro, we have entero, and we have logi, okay? This is going to be our suffix. Because this begins with a consonant, we're going to keep this combining vowel. We have two word roots, or two combining forms if you want to call them. Even though this begins with an E, we must keep this O in between these two word roots. So when we put that word together, we have the term gastroenterology. And again, according to rule number 1, the study of the stomach and the small intestines. So again, little note to remember, anatomical position within the body determines which word root or combining form is first. So it's important that you remember that. If you have any questions or any concerns, please let me know. I promise you this will be on the test. So you're going to have to be able to put words together and be able to take words apart, be able to identify that, because that's a very important part of medical terminology. Also, make sure you're studying those prefixes and those suffixes. We're really going to be focusing on those in the first 2 chapters. I'm going to be giving you an extra handout with those so you can study those and know those. If you have any questions, please email me or call me, and I will be happy to help. Thanks.